walk, or the way they, talk to the person next to them, or the way they're dressed. I will actually write down the details of that. I'll write down a little description of that person in my writer's notebook. So in a weird way, it's a little creepy, I guess, I collect people in here. And some of the people in my books are people that I collected while I was observing. Now, some of them are not. Some of them, I feel like I have kind of a collection of people in my head anyway, because I taught middle school for 15 years. And I had probably 100 students every year, so I have like 115 kids' voices in my head still. And I think a lot of the kids in my books are sort of mashups of those voices. And I think that's the case with Anna and Henry and Jose. The truth is, when I had the idea for this book, that the flag would be stolen, that there would be this secret society, I knew that I wanted 3 kids who were very different from one another, so that it would be a real challenge for them to work together. And when I started thinking about who those kids might be, Anna and Henry and Jose showed up in my head. And so I wrote them down, and that's where they came from.
My name is Sydney. Who was the book The Brilliant Fall of Gianna Z based on?
If you're asking about Gianna herself, she was not really based on any one person. But I can also tell you that she was based on a lot of different students that I taught over the years. Kids who were creative and funny and kind and bright, but couldn't always get it together when it came to getting organized and finishing assignments. So Gianna is sort of a mix-up of all those students that I taught who were like that.
Hi, my name is Messner, and I was wondering, do you have a favorite snack when you're writing on a book?
A favorite snack? My favorite snack is chocolate, although I try not to eat too much chocolate because, too much sugar isn't great for you. But my very favorite snack is chocolate. So if I'm really, really stuck on a scene, I might come upstairs and start reading the chocolate chips.
Hi, I'm Abby. Do you always write about your kids?
No, I never write about my kids exactly, although some ideas are certainly inspired by my kids. So Marty McGuire, for example, that book actually grew out of something that happened with my daughter when she was little. She's an 8th grader now, but when she was in kindergarten, when she was 5, she was taking ballet lessons, and she wanted to be in this local production of the Nutcracker Ballet. And I said, sure, of course you can do that, that'll be fun. What I didn't realize when I said yes was it was such a fancy ballet. Like they had these fluffy dresses, and they were little, but they had to have their hair up in buns, and there couldn't be any pieces sticking out of your bun, or the ballet teacher yelled at your mother, and they had to have makeup on, and you can probably take one look at me and tell that I am not that fancy. I mean, I've got my jeans on here and my fuzzy socks, and that's how I'm happiest. So it was a little bit hard for me to even help her get ready for this fancy ballet, and that really got my writer's imagination going. And that week, into my notebook went an idea that started with a what if. So it was something like this. What if a kid who was more like me, somebody who loved to play outside and get muddy, were forced into a role like that fancy ballet? Or what if they made her be the princess in a school play? And that's where Marty came from.
My name's Cadence, and have you ever used a pen name?
Not as an adult author. I actually stumbled, about a week ago, I was cleaning out a desk drawer, and I stumbled upon a notebook that I had when I was little, when I was in like fifth grade or so, and I apparently decided I would use a pen named Them, and it was De Remiert. Where I got that, I don't know. I think I was rearranging something, but I had written my autobiography from birth to 5th grade, and I was calling myself Day something or other. So, but that was a bad idea, I think. So I haven't done it since. I've always just been Kate in my published book.
My name is Aiden, and which is your newest book called?
My newest book, well, I have 2 books that are about to come out next month. I have a really busy 2015. I have 5 books coming out. No, 6 books coming out in 2015. But there are 2 that are coming out next month that I'm really excited about. One is called Ranger in Time, Rescue on the Oregon Trail. And this is actually part of a new series with Scholastic. This is the very first book in the series. It is about a time-traveling golden retriever who has been trained as a search and rescue dog. So he can go anywhere in history that people need help. So in this first book, it comes out, gosh, in just a few weeks. He goes back in time to the days of the Oregon Trail and rescues a pioneer family that's in trouble. And then there are at least 3 more books in this series. Those are set in ancient Rome, on the Underground Railroad, and I think in Antarctica, or the Arctic. We haven't decided about the 4th one yet. So this comes out in early January, and then later in January I have another novel out that I'm really excited about because this is my first book with magic. It's magical realism, so it means a little bit of magic has appeared in the real world, your world and my world. And in this book, a kid finds a magic pencil. It's called All the Answers, and that is exactly what the magic pencil does. It gives her all the answers to any question she has. When she writes a question with the pencil, she hears the answer in her ear, and she's the only one who hears it, and the pencil knows, like, everything. So she can ask it what's on the math test tomorrow. She can ask it what her friends are thinking anytime she wants. She can ask it family secrets. So this book is what I'm really excited about. It's really different for me, and this one comes out in January too. Those are my 2 newest projects that are coming out soon.
Hi, my name is Ella. I just wanted to know what your daughter's name was.
It's Ella. Did you happen, Ella, did you see a dedication in one of my books?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because Sugar and Ice is dedicated to her. That's funny. Yes. You and my Ella share a name.
Hi, my name is Andrew. How many books of yours got awarded?
Say that again?
How many books of yours got awarded?
Oh, got awards. Well, let's see. Capture the Flag got what's called a Crystal Kite Award from the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. And this book is actually on, I think, 10 or 11 state book award lists. And probably the other book of mine that's gotten the most awards is a picture book called Over and Under the Snow. This was a New York Times notable book, and it won the Golden Kite Award from the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. And something else, too, that is eluding me, that I'm not remembering right now. So probably this is the other one that's won a lot of awards. I am 44. Some adults don't like answering that question, but I don't mind. So I'm 44.
Hi, my name is Messner, and my question is, how many schools have you been to, like, around the United States?
Oh, that's a great question. And it's also not, I mean, I'm guessing. I would have to guess because it's not a number that I have in my head, but I've visited probably 10 or 12 schools a year. No, more than that. Probably 15 schools a year. Probably 70 or 80, if I had to guess. I wouldn't be able to answer for sure without looking it up in my date books, though. But probably maybe 80.
Okay. My name is Tyler, and how much books did you write about?
I have like a dozen, actually no, I have 15 books that are out now, and another 15 or so books that are coming out over the next few years. And those books are at different stages in the writing process. So just as an example, and I can use this series because it's a great example, these books come out every 6 months. So the first one you can probably see here is done, right? My words are done, the illustrations are done, it's been put all together. They're just waiting for the final copies to be printed at the factory, and then the first Ranger in Time book will be out. The second Ranger in Time book, the one set in ancient Rome, comes out in June. That book, we are at the final proofreading stage. So we are making the last changes to the text. It's all laid out, like this one is, but there's still time to make changes. The third book in the Ranger in Time series is, let's see, that's the Fugitive Slave Story, and I am just about to begin revising that. I have done 4 drafts of that book so far, and I sent my 4th draft to my editor at Scholastic, and she sent me back a letter, actually, that looks kind of like this one. This is actually for the first book. But every time I turn in a book, I get a big letter in the mail. And it's usually 4 or 5 or 6 pages this length, single space, and it talks about all the things I need to do to make the book better before you read it. So I am about to begin my 5th draft of Ranger in Time, Long Road to Freedom, which is the Fugitive Slave Story. And when that is done, I will be starting my research for the 4th book in this series, which is either going to be set in Antarctica or the Arctic, and I'm not even positive which yet, although I think it's going to be Antarctica at this point. So a lot of books take a long time, and that's why there are 15 that are somewhere in the process, but not quite out yet. Some of them are with the illustrators, and they're being illustrated now. Some of them are being printed, but they take a while.
My name is Brooklyn, and do you like Skyping and traveling around to see kids that like your books?
I do. It's really fun, especially because usually when I write by myself. So to actually get to talk to people who read the books is pretty exciting.
Hi, my name is Hannah, and how do you write books and put the pictures in them?
Well, what you're describing actually doesn't happen at my house, putting the pictures and the words together like this book about Ranger in Time. I only wrote the words for this book. So when I'm writing a book, it actually looks like this, just computer paper with words typed and then, look, lots of revision marks. The book actually gets finalized and put together like this at the publisher, and it gets laid out on a computer in New York City at the publisher and then printed in a factory. Probably have time for 1 or 2 more questions because we're running out of time.
My name is Aiden, and my favorite book is Wake Up Messner. Have you ever thought of writing a second book for Wake Up Messner?
No, I haven't. I've thought of writing sequels to some of them, but that's not one. I kind of felt like I was done telling those kids' stories. Even though there are some loose ends, I still didn't think about it. Why do you think there should be one? I'll give it some thought. All right, 1 more question.
How old is your son and daughter?
My son is 18. He is a freshman at Northeastern University in Boston, and he's studying electrical engineering. And my daughter is 13, and she's an 8th grader.
All right, boys and girls, what do we say to Kate?
Thank you.